God Level Duplication System. Chapter 63. Prodigy. Although the crack wasn't big, it showed that he wasn't able to completely dodge Chen Yu's sword light. As expected from the concept, it's really strong. Lin Xuan sighed with emotion. He stretched out his hand and grabbed a treasured sword. This was a rank 3 spirit weapon that he casually copied when he came to the martial arts practice field. Although it couldn't compare to the breeze sword in Chen Yu's hand, it was enough to deal with this competition. Chen Yu saw his sword tear apart Lin Xuan's clothes. After understanding that Lin Xuan couldn't completely dodge it, his confidence increased greatly. He was preparing to increase his strength and defeat Lin Xuan. But in the next moment, Chen Yu could not help but stop. When he heard Lin Xuan's words, he could not believe it. He could not hold back anymore. What did he mean? Could it be that Lin Xuan was hiding his strength? At this point, even an ordinary Qi transformation stage level 4 might not be a match for Lin Xuan. But Lin Xuan was hiding his true strength. If that was really the case, then Lin Xuan's strength had really exceeded everyone's imagination. But right after that, Chen Yu saw Lin Xuan take out a treasured sword. Chen Yu became even more puzzled. Lin Xuan's movement technique, fist technique, and palm technique were all not bad, and his power was very strong. Could it be that his sword technique was stronger and he might be able to defeat him? Chen Yu's heart was shaken, and he didn't dare to continue thinking about it. The gazes of the surrounding disciples also fell upon Lin Xuan, and they were somewhat puzzled. Why did Lin Xuan take out a treasure sword at this time of the day? Could it be that Lin Xuan was going to use his sword to fight Chen Yu? However, with the concept, Chen Yu's sword technique's power increased exponentially, and at the same time, it had a certain suppressive effect on other sword techniques. Sword techniques were not as effective as fist and palm techniques. They also did not understand Lin Xuan's intentions. However, they were quite far away. In addition, there were quite a few movements on the arena, so they did not hear Lin Xuan talking to himself in a low voice. Otherwise, they would have been scared stiff. On the high platform, Grand Elder and the true disciple Shu Anlin had also faintly sensed something. Their eyes gathered, and a look of anticipation flashed across their faces. On the platform, Lin Xuan had returned to his calm expression. The treasured sword in his hand shook slightly. The power of the concept is not bad. Indeed, it's not something a Qi gathering stage can withstand. However, you are not the only one who has comprehended the concept. As Lin Xuan finished his words, a terrifying, sharp light was emitted from his body and slowly spread out in all directions. The sound of cloth being torn could be heard. It was as if the void had been torn apart. It was extremely terrifying. When the disciples heard this, they were stunned for a moment before they reacted. In an instant, their eyes widened, and their hearts were filled with shock. What did Lin Xuan mean by this? Could it be that Lin Xuan had also comprehended the concept? However, before they could think of anything else, they felt a terrifying, sharp edge approaching them. A sharp pain came from their skin. Everyone lowered their heads to look, and they actually saw numerous weak cracks appearing on their arms as fresh blood flowed out. It was as if they had been cut by countless small knives. What's going on? It hurts. What kind of attack is this? It's so scary. All the disciples were shocked. Their eyes were filled with fear, and they were so scared that they started to run away. It was as if there was a devil in the middle of the arena. At this moment, a series of crisp sounds rang out. The swords on the backs of all the sword-bearing disciples started to shake uncontrollably as if they were going to fly out. They quickly held the swords down. However, the swords seemed to be attracted by a strong invisible force, and they tried their best to suppress it. Everyone was even more shocked. On the stage, Grand Elder and Shu Anlin also couldn't help but stand up. Their expressions were incomparably excited. Another concept. 100 swords unsheathing. This phenomenon is not an embryonic form, it's a real concept. This is the half-incomplete sword intent. The two of them murmured to themselves. Their eyes lit up and their eyes were fixed on Lin Xuan. They were equally shocked. Lin Xuan's performance has surprised them time and time again since the start of the competition. However, all of their previous surprises added up were not as shocking as this time. This time, Lin Xuan revealed the concept. This was not the embryonic form of sword intent like Chen uses, but the true form of sword intent. Half-incomplete sword intent. It was much harder to comprehend than the embryonic form of sword intent. More importantly, Lin Xuan was only at Qi gathering stage level 4. Lin Xuan had only been in the sect for less than a month. When he entered the sect to test his talent, his cultivation base was only at the early enlightenment stage. But now, Lin Xuan's cultivation base had been constantly breaking through, and he had even reached the Qi gathering stage middle stage. Furthermore, Lin Xuan's mastery of all kinds of martial arts was not low either. However, all of these could be ignored. But now, Lin Xuan had even grasped the concept and formed a sword intent. Grand Elder and Shu Anlin were deeply shocked and in disbelief. They were both spirit opening stage warriors, but they had only comprehended a little bit of the concept. They knew how difficult it was to comprehend the concept. They were only at the condensation spin stage, or spirit opening stage, when they started to comprehend the artistic conception of creation. Although Shu Anlin was a true disciple and his talent was only second to Lu Qianya's, he was still one of the top disciples in the Drifting Cloud sect. He was also at the condensation spin stage, middle stage. After going through countless trials and tribulations, he finally comprehended the artistic conception of creation. However, Lin Xuan was merely a Qi gathering stage, and he had already successfully comprehended the artistic conception of creation. Grand Elder and Shu Anlin found it hard to believe. However, the truth was right in front of them, and they could only believe it. Instantly, they couldn't help but fall into deep thought. After a long time, they regained some consciousness. Their eyes focused on Lin Xuan, but the shock in their hearts didn't diminish in the slightest. Lin Xuan's cultivation had broken through a major realm, and his martial arts were profound. He had even mastered the artistic conception of creation. For him to be able to achieve such an achievement in such a short period of time, he must have extraordinary talent. This once again proved how great Lin Xuan's talent was. The Grand Elder and Shu Anlin were both shocked. Lin Xuan's performance has exceeded their expectations many times since the start of the competition. They were also amazed by Lin Xuan's talent many times. They even thought that Lin Xuan's talent should be at the top of the Drifting Cloud sect. He was on par with Lu Qianya and Shu Anlin. But now, it seemed like they had underestimated Lin Xuan's talent. He was able to master the artistic conception of creation at the Qi gathering stage. What kind of concept was that? At least in the entire Drifting Cloud sect and even the entire Kangyuan country, there had never been a person like Lin Xuan. It could be said that Lin Xuan had broken an unprecedented record in the Kangyuan country. Lin Xuan's talent was so high that he had definitely surpassed everyone in the Drifting Cloud sect, or even the standards of the Kangyuan country. A genius like him could be considered a top genius, even in the Xiyang zone where the Kangyuan country was located. Could it be that a genius is going to emerge from the Drifting Cloud sect? Grandfather's eyes sparkled. A bold thought suddenly emerged in his mind, and he murmured in a low voice. What? Shu Anlin, who was standing beside him, was also shocked. He was shocked. Impossible. Shu Anlin said it in a low voice. One should know that in the entire Xiyang zone, there was only one person who could be called a genius. He couldn't believe that Lin Xuan would be the next one. However, judging from Lin Xuan's performance, it didn't seem impossible.